from iKicks76 on YouTube. He's been a loyal follower of ours on YouTube for a while. So he's got a question. So, with a pretty excited offseason and signing players that could take the team to the next level, I have questions on who make the final decision on signing players. Is it the GM, coach, owner? What happens if the GM wants to sign one player and the coach wants to sign another player? Who makes that final decision? And then that's one question. And the other question is, and why didn't AI and Mr. Snow get the help they needed back in the 2000-2001 season before going to the finals? Thank you.
Well, as far as the finals, I mean, we I can't say that we would have necessarily beat the Lakers. All I can say is like I wish we could have played them healthy. That's I wish I know it would have been a different outcome. Maybe they were still been victorious overall, but I do believe that we would have put up more of a challenge. I know I would have been better if I didn't have a broken ankle. So George Lynch didn't really play. So I just think if we were healthy, we would have gave them a better challenge. I mean, they had never beat us in Philly before the finals, as is. So we knew we'd play well at home. I do believe if we were healthy at the end of the season, we would have had home court advantage because we ended up having the same record as those guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of things could have changed with that. So I think we were built to kind of win it if we had the kind of health that we wanted. As far as decision making, in the NBA is no set way of how decisions are made. It's no blueprint. This is how you do it. This guy's in charge. It's really up to the discretion of each particular team. You can have a guy that's, I'll give you an example. Larry Brown was considered the president. Billy King was considered the general manager, but Coach Brown was the president and head coach, which his position was technically above Billy. But Billy was the one, and the personnel people were the ones that were gathering all the information to make deals and transactions and all that, and kind of bringing it to Coach Brown. And then Coach Brown may make the decision, he may not, or I think it came a point where Billy kind of made the decision to Coach Brown just yay or nay, or they collectively kind of make the decision. It could go either way. So I think like now it's one guy that makes the call. I think everyone else kind of brings them information. One makes the call, but then that one guy has to go and convince who's writing the checks, whether they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it never really gets to that point where you have to go and convince them. They usually kind of put a plan together. This is what we would like to do. This is plan A, B, C, D, kind of have plans laid out. And this is how much we think it will cost to execute these plans. Are you in agreement with these plans and this execution? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Or no, 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 yes. So it's better to kind of already know what you can do before you go out and make promises or try to recruit someone and you can't really execute it. So the plans are usually already in play. It just depends on whether you can convince a guy like Paul to come. But you kind of know what it takes. So you may say, okay, well, maybe we can get Paul for 45 a year. Well, when negotiations start, it may go down to 50. So you have to go back to who's making that money decision and say, hey, we said 45, but this is what it's going to take to get him. Are we willing to make that decision? Are we willing to make that decision today? Because we got 24 hours to decide. So that's kind of not really a negotiation, but it's sort of like convincing.
Yeah.
Because ultimately the money guy is the guy that has the last say. And while the GM or president, GM, some places GMs hire, some places presidents hire. It's kind of no set ways, no set form. It's not like the United States where it's president, vice president, not set like that. It's kind of, you have your title, but title don't necessarily mean what you're required to do. You know what I'm saying? That you get all the credit just because of your title, who's higher or who's lower. So it's really up to ownership and how they decide it. And usually the pay grade is kind of how you can tell the difference. But I do believe that some cases coaches have a lot of say. I mean, but coaches are on different levels. Nurse may have, I think he has some decision making and kind of make his recommendations, but he's not like Pop. You know what I'm saying? Like Pop is making the final call, probably.
Exactly.
On most cases. So it's different. It's different.
So basically, when they show up at Paul's house with Dr. J taking their shoes off, they pretty much knew what they were going to sign at that moment.
Sound good.
Oh, you want that much? Okay, put my shoes back on. Put my shoes back on. We'll be on our way.
Yeah, I think that helped when Doc showed up, but that how much money he was getting made it kind of a reality.
Mm-hmm.
That extra year, yeah, that's
that was big reality.
Definitely helps.
I think Maury's talked about this before. I think he's been asked similar questions too, and I think he says it's kind of a collective, right? There's no like my decision, your decision. They all kind of sit down, him, Nick, Elton, and the staff, and just kind of go over all of it. Now, I'm sure at some point they have disagreed on people.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like you can try to come up with the plan like that, but at the end of the day, it's someone's going to have to take the initiative to kind of be like, this is what we're going to do, because you're not going to always be on the same page. You may have guys that want to go one route, 3 guys want to go one route, and 2 other guys want to go a different route. So how do you collectively bring it into a decision if one guy isn't taking the charge? So one guy has to take charge initially.
Like the one signs off on it. But
yeah,
now everyone,
you got to take it. Somebody got to take it to the main guy.
Yep.
Everybody's not taking it. He's not listening to everybody.